I raise meat the way that I want the meat raised that I eat. But like the way that I'm raising the animals, like, is you cannot get meat like this everywhere. And I could not get it in Chicago. Like, I talked to the pork farmers, like a couple of them, and I was like, would you feed certified organic feed? Because they were feeding non-GMO feed or conventional feed, maybe even, you know? And they were like, no, because we've asked our customers if they would, we told them like what the price difference would have to be for the meat, and they said they don't care. So it's like there's regenerative farms that are still feeding conventional or non-GMO feed because the organic feed is so expensive that the consumer won't want to pay the higher price. But my whole thing was like, our price is higher because we do feed the organic feed and because of the way we raise the animals. And I think consumers should have the option, if they want to spend money because they value those things, then they should have the option to do that. But I feel like it gets into the nitty gritty where like, just because you can't find that exact thing you want, like I had to make sacrifices when I was a consumer because it was like, I care more about knowing the farmer, knowing that the pigs were raised outside, and then they were fed conventional feed. That was more important to me than like going to the grocery store and buying pork from organic pigs.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes the farmer isn't always doing it exactly how you want to, but also I think like supporting that farmer and then maybe trying to make suggestions or from the inside kind of is better than not supporting them at all.
And it goes back to your point of like forecasting essentially, because if a farmer is going to want to make that change, that's going to be so costly, you're going to have to make sure that you've got enough customers to want that. Because say you only have 5, well then you're kind of shit out of luck. You just lost money, and you also have a bunch of other pork that's not being sold. That's why, again, the consumers have to really understand how nitty gritty this all is. Because if you want to make these changes, I try to make that point a lot too with conventional versus regenerative and all of that, because it's just a whole new world. But take like Will Harris, for example, who used to be conventional and now was one of the pioneers of the grass-fed and finished movement. 20 years ago, people would have been calling him XYZ farmer because he was conventional. But now they see him as this revered, amazing farmer. You have to be patient and have grace, but then also talk to the people too. Because that's another thing I notice all the time, and why I'm on the road for these next 5 months is people love to talk online, do none of it in person. They do none of this.
Yeah.
I mean, same for the media, same for all of them. You can, and then I barely know anything and I can see through all of that. So I can't imagine being an actual farmer and seeing through all the BS that people just spew.
Yeah. I think, you know, I have a big support system of other farmers who I work with, and not all of them are regenerative and some of them are conventional. And I think that was a major change for me between just being a consumer and looking at this whole thing from the outside and being kind of judgmental about the way that people farm, you know, frankly, to actually farming and realizing how like fucking hard it is, and realizing and recognizing that every farmer, regardless of their practices, is like doing a good job and working really hard. And like being kind and respectful, it just creates much more change than making it seem like there's such a gap between practices.
There won't be any change if you don't do that. That's why I try to do that. I'm just like, you guys don't realize that if you're just going to spew all that, they're not going to change.
Yeah.
They're going to just shoo you away and just continue on their old path. It's just, why would you, I mean, just try to be in their shoes. You're 50, 60, or even 70. You've been farming this your whole life on the land that was probably passed down to you, taught by the person that was taught from their father or grandfather. And then you have some city slicker who has bought all their food from the grocery store their whole lives, and then they start just chirping at you the whole time. I would tell them to just shut the hell up and get away. And so I think you do have to be critical and have good questions and have that, but then also have grace and really try to have an open mind and heart for it all.
Yeah. I mean, I think with what I'm doing on the farm here is that I'm just kind of doing what I'm doing, and then I'm hoping that maybe it creates some sort of influence, wider spread in the community of like higher demand, which then creates, maybe other producers to make some changes. Like a lot of the beef that's raised here doesn't stay here. Like it gets sold at auction and then it goes to feedlot. That's how most beef is. And it's like, we're always sold out of beef. And then people are going to the grocery store and buying beef. But then there's all these other farmers, all my neighbors raising cows, and the cows aren't sold direct to consumer.
And same for all the corn and soy too. A lot of the farmers aren't even consuming anything that's on their farm.
Right.
It's crazy.
But like, that's just the way that things went. And for like, again, making the leap is really, really hard, and creates, it could just be really scary. So it's definitely a reason why some people don't. I think too, like when I was talking to those farms about, would you feed your animals organic? The price difference between certified organic feed and non-GMO or conventional feed is like, the certified organic feed is like 4 times, or like at least what we're getting that's no corn, no soy, because I also have to get it shipped from Virginia, is like 4 times the cost of if I fed conventional feed. But like my price point isn't 4 times the cost of the farmer who's doing pastured pigs and feeding conventional feed. You know what I mean? So it's like my margins actually suck a lot more, even though my price point's like higher. So that's a whole other thing that then the farmer has to figure out is like, I believe that what I'm doing is better for the ecosystem, because then it's like I'm supporting organic crops by feeding the organic, and I think it's better for the animals too. And I think it produces healthier meat. So there's all these reasons why, but then I also now have to figure out how to make up some of that profit margin. And I think that one of the ways that I have figured that out a little bit is through like the lard, utilizing the lard from the pigs for the lard-based moisturizer that we make.
Before we go into, because I do want to talk in the skincare too, because that's another thing. The consumers will see that really high price point and just think, oh, the farmer's just raking in the dough from each sale. But they don't understand that at all, that the cost of that, the economics of our food is just all jacked up. And I always find it hilarious how a lot of people will talk on the food culture of Europe and how much better the food is and all of that. And they don't realize that Europeans spend 20-30% of their income on food.
Yeah.
We used to be that. Now we don't. And not even that, we try to spend less and less and less money on food and to use it for God knows what else. And then, if you want to buy actual good quality food, it's going to cost more. But then, but
you're saving money on other things.
It just
is about prioritizing the food, because like, I feel like that was very much who I was. And I can think of like customers off of the top of my mind right now who I know are just like median income people, but they really, really prioritize their food expenses. Like they want to spend more money on their food that's really important to them. So for it's something that I think that the grocery store prices have created such a unnatural, like, expectation of what food should cost.
I remember even just going back to Ben's farm and working on his and doing the farmer's market. I vividly remember one woman, she would always come there every week. And I actually ended up being the farmer's market guy too. I was doing those by myself. But they would ask why Ben's corn was a couple bucks more than the neighbor's corn, but then they're conventional and use sprays, and Ben obviously didn't. And so it's just trying to have those conversations of why it is the price it is, but it's also hard to get them to even care, because in the end she didn't end up buying that, and she ended up buying the cheaper one.
So and it's so I'm so interested in like the different looking, like how the different vegetables look too. I bought strawberries, and I got strawberries from Ben, and then I got strawberries from another farm. I needed to supplement, and I wasn't even thinking about it. It was like for one of our dinners, and I'm not like opposed to supporting or buying from conventional. So like I do like supporting different farms. I would definitely prefer to support all like regenerative and organic, but there's a couple farms that I know are not totally, and I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like I'm more like it needs to be local.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when I got the strawberries from the other farm, and then I was like looking at them next to Ben's strawberries, the strawberries from the other farm just looked like I like went to the grocery store. And I was just like, so like, to me, it was like a big turnoff because I was like, oh, Ben's are like cute and they're like all different and, they got personality. and then these ones are like too pretty. I'm like, that's, And so I think like personally, I'm like trained to gravitate toward like knowing like, I want to find a little bug in my lettuce. I want to know that the bugs want to eat it too. I don't want to eat what like was sprayed so there's no bugs.
That's a very great point. That's actually funny because I remember picking those strawberries and how it was pretty much often than not, you'd pick one up and half of it was eaten by a worm.
But that's the other thing. It's like, right? Like, it's like, that's the other struggle. It's like you're growing all this stuff without sprays and then you're fighting with bugs or chipmunks or everything else that wants to eat this stuff that's delicious. But